A sweeping aerial view of a lively New York City at twilight, its skyline pulsing with neon dreams and hidden mysteries. Have you ever felt that destiny is whispering your name, urging you to rise above the ordinary? Imagine a world where ancient divinity collides with modern ambition, a realm where a struggling entrepreneur is transformed into the most powerful billionaire by the enchanting grace of an immortal goddess. A journey where love, power, and ancient magic intertwine to challenge the limits of what it means to be human. What would you sacrifice to grasp your destiny? And could the key to unimaginable success lie in embracing a forgotten myth? The screen fades to black with the title appearing in elegant, glowing script. Join us as we unravel the mystery. Are you ready to awaken to a new reality? Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to Heartbeat Narratives, your ultimate destination for all things romances, connection, and heartfelt stories. I'm thrilled to have you here, sharing this amazing journey of exploring love in all its beautiful, complex, and magical forms. Whether you're a hopeless romantic, someone searching for relationship insights, or just love diving into heartwarming content, you're exactly where you need to be. If you're enjoying what you see, I'd be incredibly grateful if you could hit that subscribe button to stay connected with our Heartbeat Narratives community. Drop a like to show some love, support, and motivation. Share this video with someone who might need a little romance in their life. Your support means the world to me and helps us continue creating content that celebrates love, connection, and the beautiful stories that bring us together. In the ceaseless pulse of New York City, a place where ambition meets the unforgiving pace of modern life, a young man named Peterson struggled to carve out his destiny. Rejected by society and beleaguered by repeated failures, he harbored dreams of revolutionizing financial technology. Yet every venture he pursued seemed destined to crumble under the weight of poverty and cynicism. Fate, however, has a strange way of intervening. One crisp autumn evening at a charity gala held in one of Manhattan's grand old halls, Peterson's life took an unexpected turn. As he nervously attempted to pitch his revolutionary idea, his voice trembled beneath the weight of despair and longing. Amid the glittering crowd, a woman of ethereal beauty and quiet authority observed him intently. Elizabeth, with eyes that hinted at centuries of hidden wisdom and secrets of an ancient past. She exuded a presence that transcended time. Unbeknownst to the city's denizens, Elizabeth was no ordinary socialite. She was an Egyptian goddess queen who had awakened in modern times after a long, enchanted slumber. Drawn by Peterson's untapped potential and the purity of his aspiration, Elizabeth resolved to rewrite both their destinies. In a moment that defied explanation, she approached him with a mysterious proposition, one that would forever alter the trajectory of his life. With a promise of unfathomable resources and an invitation to rediscover lost ancient truths, their fates intertwined. Their union, forged in the unlikeliest of moments, would soon illuminate a path from desolation to divine power and transformative wealth. And as New York City thrummed with its eternal rhythm, an ancient magic began to stir once more, bridging the gulf between myth and modernity. Peterson's life had been a series of setbacks. Each morning, he rose before dawn in a cramped apartment in Brooklyn, his dreams as expansive as the skyline he could only admire from afar. His tiny workspace, a corner of his living room, was cluttered with scribbled ideas and prototypes for his revolutionary fintech startup. Despite his brilliance and unyielding determination, the world seemed intent on dismissing his innovations. Investors were wary, and even the simplest interactions with potential partners ended in disappointment. His loneliness was compounded by the sting of rejection, as friends and acquaintances alike questioned his worth. On that fateful night, as the gala's opulent chandeliers cast prismatic light across polished floors, Peterson found himself cornered by self-doubt. In the crowded room, he felt isolated, a lone voice in a sea of skepticism. His presentation, though innovative, was met with dismissive glances and whispered doubts. Just as his heart sank, Elizabeth made her presence known. Clad in a gown that shimmered with subtle hints of ancient hieroglyphs and adorned with symbols reminiscent of a bygone era, she cut through the monotony of the evening. Her serene smile and assured gaze lent an air of unspoken promise that resonated with something deep within Peterson. Elizabeth approached him with measured steps. "I believe in the power of your vision," she said softly, her voice carrying a strange, timeless cadence. She recognized in Peterson not just a spark of creativity, but the quiet nobility of one who had suffered much and still dared to hope. As they spoke in hushed tones away from the clamor of the party, she revealed her true identity. Her eyes, the color of midnight Nile waters, held secrets of ancient kingdoms and divine rulership. She explained that her long vigil had prepared her to return at this critical juncture in human history, a moment when technology and ancient wisdom could converge to bring balance to a chaotic world. Peterson listened, entranced, as the goddess outlined her proposal. With the backing of her seemingly inexhaustible resources, a wealth that spanned both mortal fortunes and mystic treasures, she would fund his startup and provide him the opportunity to prove that his ideas were more than the fleeting dreams of a desperate soul. In return, he was to honor a pact that transcended time, the restoration of sacred ancient temples lost to the ravages of modernity. Though perplexed, Peterson sensed that the deal was laden with significance far beyond the simple exchange of capital for innovation. That night marked the beginning of a metamorphosis. With Elizabeth's backing, Peterson's startup rapidly began to flourish. Investors, once skeptical, now clamored to be part of a venture that seemed to merge futuristic technology with a reverence for timeless principles. The company's innovative algorithms and secure financial frameworks disrupted the industry, positioning it as a beacon of hope amid a world fraught with economic disparity. As the business soared, Peterson found himself thrust into a realm he had only dared to dream of, a realm where wealth and influence became the currency of change. Yet, even as his fortunes improved, Peterson struggled with an inner conflict. The memory of that fateful promise, of restoring ancient temples and upholding a cosmic pact, lingered in his mind. The modern world, with its dazzling displays of power and opulence, seemed increasingly disconnected from the spiritual legacy that Elizabeth embodied. He attempted to push aside the nagging guilt of neglecting his part of the deal, rationalizing that the success of his venture would, in time, benefit humanity. But Elizabeth's gentle yet insistent reminders kept him tethered to the ancient mission she had set before him. In quiet moments, Peterson would revisit the old scrolls and texts Elizabeth had entrusted to him, a collection of symbols and stories that spoke of Ma'at, the divine principle of truth, balance, and justice. These relics, though cryptic, served as a moral compass, urging him to consider the broader implications of his newfound power. The grandeur of boardrooms and the thrill of financial success could not, by themselves, fill the void left by unfulfilled promises to an ancient goddess. The internal struggle grew as his company's accolades mounted, and whispers of his meteoric rise filled every corner of the business world. Simultaneously, Elizabeth's presence in Peterson's life deepened. Once a solitary guardian of cosmic secrets, she now experienced the full spectrum of human emotion. In the quiet interludes between board meetings and strategic sessions, she found herself drawn to the vulnerable moments of his humanity, his moments of doubt, his unguarded laughter, and the raw passion that drove him forward. For Elizabeth, every smile and tear were a revelation as she discovered the beauty and complexity of mortal existence. Their conversations, often held in the hushed light of dawn or under the glow of New York's neon nights, were filled with philosophical musings on fate, destiny, and the intricate dance between power and responsibility. Their collaboration soon extended beyond the business realm. Late evenings found them poring over ancient manuscripts in the confines of Peterson's sleek penthouse office. The room, with its panoramic view of the city, became a sanctuary where ancient wisdom merged with modern strategy. Elizabeth recounted stories of forgotten dynasties and sacred rituals, while Peterson shared insights into cutting-edge technology and the evolving dynamics of global finance. In these intimate exchanges, the barriers between divine and mortal began to blur. Their bond, once forged on a pragmatic exchange of resources, evolved into something profoundly personal, a connection that promised to reshape not only their lives but the destiny of the world itself. Despite the rapid ascent of Peterson's company, the pressures of maintaining such an empire began to weigh on him. Rival companies, sensing vulnerability in his meteoric rise, plotted in the shadows. In hushed boardrooms and clandestine meetings, threats emerged that would test the limits of his resolve. The once clear path of innovation and progress was now fraught with treachery and calculated sabotage. Yet, amid these challenges, Peterson's determination only hardened. With Elizabeth by his side, a constant source of otherworldly wisdom and unwavering support, he vowed to confront every obstacle head-on. Even as the stakes grew higher, he refused to abandon the ancient pact that had given him a second chance at life. Thus, as New York City continued its relentless rhythm, the stage was set for a transformative journey. The union of a struggling entrepreneur and an awakened goddess was not merely a confluence of fate. It was a spark that ignited a revolution in both technology and spirit. The promise of untold riches and ancient wisdom beckoned, and the delicate balance between ambition and ethics hung in the balance, ready to tip the scales toward a future where both could coexist in harmonious unity. Peterson's company, now a rising star in the world of fintech, began to attract attention from every corner of the globe. As the firm's innovative technologies revolutionized the financial sector, headlines lauded the emergence of a visionary leader whose ideas promised to democratize wealth. Boardrooms filled with power brokers and skeptical analysts slowly yielded to Peterson's relentless pursuit of progress. With Elizabeth's ethereal guidance woven into every strategic decision, the company not only reaped monetary success, but also began to craft a new narrative, one where ancient values met modern ingenuity in an unprecedented synthesis. During this period of meteoric growth, the duo faced their first major test of loyalty. A key investor, sensing a divergence between the company's pragmatic financial ambitions and its subtle nods to antiquated mysticism, openly questioned the legitimacy of integrating ancient principles into a modern business framework. In a high-stakes meeting held in a sleek, glass-walled conference room overlooking Central Park, the investor demanded clarity. "Your success is undeniable," he declared. "But can you truly explain the relevance of these mystical undertones in a company that is supposed to be grounded in modern economics?" Peterson, though initially taken aback, met the scrutiny with measured resolve. "Innovation is not solely about numbers," he replied, his voice resonating with both conviction and vulnerability. "It is about infusing our endeavors with purpose, a purpose that transcends a mere accumulation of wealth." As he spoke, Elizabeth's presence, though silent, was felt in the subtle shift of energy in the room. It was as if her ancient wisdom permeated every corner of that modern space, bridging the gap between the tangible and the transcendent. Outside the boardroom, Peterson's personal transformation continued unabated. Despite the trappings of success, a sprawling office in Midtown, a series of influential connections, and the adoration of a loyal team, he found himself haunted by memories of his former life. The man who once dwelled in a cramped apartment, with dreams too vast for his humble beginnings, now faced an inner dichotomy. On one hand, he reveled in the achievements that were now his reality. On the other, he grappled with the unyielding pressure of a promise made long ago, a promise to restore the sacred temples of ancient Egypt. Late one rainy night, when the city streets glistened with reflections of neon and despair, Peterson wandered the deserted corridors of his flagship office building. In the solitude of that moment, he uncovered a hidden chamber behind a row of forgotten files. Within it lay a trove of ancient relics, scrolls, artifacts, and intricately carved tablets that bore the unmistakable mark of Egypt's golden age. Among these relics was a delicate papyrus inscribed with the principles of Ma'at, truth, balance, and justice. The weight of this discovery pressed upon him. Here lay the tangible embodiment of the oath he had once pledged to uphold, a reminder that his path was not solely paved with a glimmer of success, but also with responsibility to honor the divine legacy entrusted to him. As days turned into weeks, the partnership between Peterson and Elizabeth deepened. Their collaboration evolved into a seamless melding of intellect and intuition. Elizabeth, who had once been distant and enigmatic, now opened up about her past, a life steeped in the grandeur of ancient Egypt, marked by rituals, sacrifices, and the eternal quest for balance. Her recollections painted vivid portraits of vast temple complexes, ceremonies under starlit skies, and the solemn duty of guarding cosmic secrets. In sharing these memories, she revealed a profound connection she felt not only to her own divine heritage, but also to the mortal realm, where every act of kindness and every bold innovation could tip the scales of destiny. This period of rising success, however, was not without its dangers. Rumors of a rival corporation, an organization as ruthless as it was technologically advanced, began to surface. Behind the polished veneer of their public persona, This rival was orchestrating a series of covert operations designed to destabilize Peterson's burgeoning empire. Anonymous sources hinted at corporate espionage, data breaches, and even attempts to discredit Peterson's reputation. The pressure was mounting, and whispers of betrayal reached the corridors of Peterson's boardroom, sowing seeds of doubt among even his staunchest supporters. Amid these turbulent times, the bond between Peterson and Elizabeth emerged as both a sanctuary and a source of renewed strength. In the quiet hours of early morning, when the chaos of the day had yet to intrude, they would meet in a private sanctuary within his penthouse, a room filled with soft ambient light, ancient artifacts, and an unmistakable aura of mystery. Here, they spoke of destiny and choice, of the delicate interplay between modern ambition and ancient duty. Elizabeth's eyes would often glimmer with a mix of sorrow and hope as she recounted tales of battles fought in the name of divine justice, while Peterson, emboldened by her resolve, recited his own dreams of a world where wealth was harnessed for the betterment of humanity. Their shared moments were punctuated by both passion and tension. Peterson's growing affection for Elizabeth was now entangled with the weight of responsibility. As he navigated board meetings, public appearances, and the relentless demands of corporate empire, he could not shake the feeling that every success was a double-edged sword, a triumph marred by the risk of forgetting the ancient oath. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's inner transformation was equally profound. For centuries, she had witnessed the rise and fall of empires from a distant, detached perspective. Now, as she experienced the raw, unfiltered emotions of mortal love, she found herself teetering on the precipice of newfound humanity. Each smile, every shared laugh, and every tender moment with Peterson chipped away at the divine detachment that had once defined her existence. Yet, as the company soared to unprecedented heights, so too did the threats against it. Late one fateful evening, as a storm brewed over the city, a coded message arrived at Peterson's secure line, a warning that a coordinated sabotage was imminent. The message, laced with urgency and hidden threats, implied that a rival was prepared to use any means necessary to bring him down. In that moment, the stakes of their alliance were thrown into sharp relief. It was no longer just about innovation or financial success. It was a battle for the soul of an enterprise that bridged centuries of wisdom and ambition. The dual pressures of corporate warfare and the ancient promise weighed heavily on Peterson. With Elizabeth's counsel echoing in his mind, he began to marshal his resources, assembling a trusted inner circle of advisors and security experts. Their mission was clear: protect the integrity of the company and safeguard the sacred relics that held the promise of ancient power. In the midst of this turmoil, the allure of romance and redemption grew stronger. Elizabeth's soft-spoken reassurances and insightful guidance became the anchors that steadied his resolve. In return, Peterson's determination and unyielding spirit lit a fire within her that had long been dormant. As the days passed, the threat from the rival corporation evolved from whispered rumors into a palpable presence. Sabotage attempts increased in frequency and boldness, a series of unexplained outages in the company's network, mysterious break-ins at headquarters, and unsettling messages that hinted at a betrayal from within. In response, Peterson and his team fortified their digital and physical defenses, aware that the next move might come at any moment. Each setback deepened Peterson's understanding that success was not measured solely by profit margins, but by the ability to stand by one's principles in the face of overwhelming adversity. Throughout this rising action, Elizabeth and Peterson's shared journey resonated with the timeless themes of love and sacrifice. Their connection, forged in the crucible of ambition and divine destiny, grew ever more potent as they navigated the labyrinth of corporate intrigue and personal transformation. In every whispered conversation, every exchanged glance over ancient texts, and every calculated business decision, the promise of a better world emerged, a world where technology served as a vessel for ancient wisdom, and where love bridged the chasm between the mortal and the divine. As the sabotage escalated into outright assault, the world around Peterson's empire began to teeter on the brink of chaos. The rival corporation, driven by greed and an insatiable thirst for power, unleashed a final, catastrophic plan designed to cripple the foundation of his business. Under the cover of a moonless night, a team of mercenaries infiltrated the heart of his headquarters, targeting the central servers and the vault that housed the sacred relics. The meticulously orchestrated assault caught everyone off guard, shattering the illusion of invulnerability that had come to define Peterson's world. Within the storm-lashed halls of the Ankh Tower, a symbol of both modern innovation and ancient mysticism, the battle for survival began. Alarms echoed through the corridors as security teams mobilized, and Peterson found himself at the center of a maelstrom that threatened not only his company, but the ancient legacy entrusted to him. As he raced through the labyrinthine hallways, his mind flashed back to that fateful night at the charity gala, the moment when Elizabeth had extended her hand and offered him a chance at transcendence. Now, that same hand seemed to guide him through a crisis that blended mortal peril with divine intervention. In the midst of the chaos, Elizabeth revealed the full extent of her powers. No longer bound by the reserved grace of a goddess hidden among mortals, she unleashed a force that transcended modern weaponry. Radiant energy swirled around her as she confronted the intruders, her eyes blazing with intensity that belied centuries of calm. Each adversary who stepped forward was met with a burst of light and the echo of ancient incantations, an otherworldly retribution that left even the most hardened mercenaries trembling in awe. Yet, the rival corporation's strategy was cunning. Their objective was not solely to seize control of the company, but to expose Elizabeth's supernatural nature to the world, a revelation they believed would shatter public trust and plunge the market into chaos. In a calculated move, they transmitted live footage of the skirmish, ensuring that the spectacle of a modern corporate titan battling a goddess would captivate the global stage. As news anchors scrambled to report the unfolding drama, the stakes grew unbearably high. The fate of an empire, the sanctity of an ancient pact, and the very nature of reality hung in the balance. Peterson, now at the helm of the crisis, marshaled his inner reserves of courage and ingenuity. He activated emergency protocols that he had painstakingly developed in anticipation of corporate sabotage. The building's advanced security systems, fortified by cutting-edge technology and ancient symbols of protection, sprung to life around him. In a climactic confrontation in the central atrium, where glass and marble met the ethereal glow of enchanted artifacts, Peterson faced a mastermind behind a rival plot. The confrontation was as much a battle of wits as it was of wills. Every word exchanged was laden with the weight of destiny and the promise of retribution. As the mercenaries pressed in from all sides, Elizabeth and Peterson fought as one. Her divine powers and his strategic brilliance formed a seamless counterforce, repelling the relentless assault. In the heat of battle, amid sparks of divine energy and the clamor of modern weaponry, Peterson realized that this moment was the crucible in which their destiny would be forged. He understood that true power was not simply measured in dollars or divine might, but in the unwavering commitment to honor promises made in moments of vulnerability and hope. With a decisive command, Peterson coordinated a counteroffensive that not only neutralized the attackers, but also turned the tide of public opinion. As the live footage continued to stream across the globe, viewers witnessed a rare union of human tenacity and celestial force. The world, gripped by the unfolding drama, began to see that the merger of ancient wisdom and modern innovation held the promise of a new era, a future where technology served humanity under the watchful guidance of timeless principles. In that final, breathtaking confrontation, the intruders were vanquished, and the rival corporation's plot was laid bare for all to see. The public, once skeptical, now stood in awe of the spectacle, a vivid demonstration that sometimes destiny must be shaped by both mortal resolve and divine intervention. As the storm subsided and the echoes of battle faded, Peterson and Elizabeth stood together amid the ruins of the night's chaos. In that charged moment of stillness, they shared a look of profound understanding, a silent vow that the journey they had embarked upon was far from over. In the days that followed the cataclysmic assault, the world slowly began to heal. News outlets, once riveted by the violent spectacle, shifted their focus to the aftermath, a story of triumph against insurmountable odds, of a young entrepreneur who had not only survived an onslaught, but had emerged as a beacon of hope for millions. The assault on the Ankh Tower became a turning point, a reminder that progress was not free from sacrifice, and that the forces of darkness could be met with the light of resolute courage. For Peterson, the resolution was as complex as it was bittersweet. His company, though battered by the recent events, was reborn in the crucible of adversity. The experience galvanized his team and galvanized a renewed commitment to the ancient promise that had first bound him to Elizabeth. In a series of heartfelt addresses, Peterson spoke to the public about the dual nature of ambition and duty. He revealed that the financial empire he had built was not merely an end in itself, but a means to restore balance and justice in a fractured world. His words resonated with a generation hungry for meaning, and soon the company's influence expanded beyond the realms of business to encompass philanthropic initiatives and community empowerment programs. In the quiet aftermath of the conflict, Peterson and Elizabeth retreated to a private sanctuary in his penthouse, a place where the relentless pace of the corporate world gave way to introspection and healing. There, amidst the soft glow of dawn and the gentle hum of New York's awakening, they revisited the ancient texts and relics that had once seemed like relics of a forgotten past. Now, those symbols of Ma'at, truth, balance, and justice, held a renewed significance. They were no longer abstract ideals, but living principles that guided every decision, every innovation, and every act of charity. Peterson's transformation was evident not just in his towering success, but in the way he reimagined his legacy. Inspired by Elizabeth's unwavering devotion to the divine order, he embarked on a series of ambitious projects designed to heal the wounds of modern society. Among these was the restoration of ancient temples scattered across Egypt, a symbolic gesture to honor the goddess who had given him a second chance. Teams of architects, historians, and technologists were assembled to blend state-of-the-art preservation techniques with the wisdom of ancient construction, ensuring that these sacred sites would stand as beacons of heritage and innovation for generations to come. At the heart of this transformation was the Ankh Tower, the headquarters that had borne witness to both triumph and turmoil. No longer just a symbol of corporate might, it was reimagined as a living museum, a place where the past and future coalesced in harmonious dialogue. Visitors from around the globe marveled at the fusion of cutting-edge design and subtle Egyptian motifs that adorned its halls. In every polished surface and every carved symbol, the legacy of Ma'at was celebrated, a testament to the power of human resilience when guided by principles of truth and justice. As Peterson's influence grew, so did his sense of responsibility. He established philanthropic foundations and global initiatives aimed at addressing systemic inequalities. The wealth he had amassed was no longer hoarded for personal gain. Instead, it was reinvested into projects that promoted education, healthcare, and sustainable development. His corporate ventures expanded into uncharted territories, venturing into renewable energy, technological innovations for underprivileged communities, and research into ancient wisdom that could be harnessed to solve modern problems. With each new endeavor, Peterson reaffirmed a commitment to the sacred covenant he had made with Elizabeth, a promise to use his wealth as a tool for global healing. For Elizabeth, the resolution of their shared journey was marked by an embracing of both her divine nature and her burgeoning human emotions. No longer confined to the distant realm of immortal detachment, she found joy in the minutiae of everyday life. The simple pleasures, a shared meal, quiet walks through Central Park, heartfelt conversations in the twilight, became sacred rituals in their own right. Her transformation was a testament to the unexpected power of love and the beauty of imperfection. In the soft laughter that filled their sanctuary, in the warm touch of a hand that had weathered centuries of solitude, Elizabeth rediscovered the richness of mortal existence. Yet, even as their lives took on new meaning, the legacy of their partnership reached far beyond personal fulfillment. The collaboration between a mortal visionary and a resurrected goddess had become a powerful metaphor for the endless possibilities that arise when ancient wisdom meets modern ingenuity. Across global news outlets and in the corridors of power, the story of Peterson and Elizabeth served as a rallying cry for those who believed in a future shaped not solely by profit, but by purpose. Their journey, replete with trials, sacrifice, and transcendence, offered a blueprint for how humanity could reclaim its lost connection to the timeless principles of balance and justice. In the final analysis, the transformation of Peterson and his enterprise signified more than a rise of a billionaire CEO. It symbolized the emergence of a new paradigm, a world where success was measured not only in fiscal gains, but in the capacity to uplift society, to restore forgotten legacies, and to kindle hope in even the darkest of times. Standing on the precipice of a new era, Peterson and Elizabeth looked at the horizon with unwavering resolve, knowing that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, yet illuminated by the eternal light of Ma'at. As the sun rose over a city reborn from the ashes of conflict and cynicism, the Ankh Tower shone as a beacon of innovation, heritage, and promise. And within its walls, the story of a young man and an ancient goddess, a tale of divine ascension and human resilience, found its enduring legacy, a reminder that love, purpose, and destiny are interwoven in the tapestry of life, transcending time and space. Thus, as the chapters of their saga continued to unfold, the partnership between Peterson and Elizabeth became not only a testament to the transformative power of love and ambition, but also an enduring symbol of a future where ancient wisdom and modern progress could coexist in perfect harmony. Their journey, marked by both divine intervention and mortal grit, offered the world a glimpse of what was possible when hearts and minds united in pursuit of a higher calling, a destiny that, once written in the stars, was now reborn on Earth. In the quiet moments that followed the tumultuous events, as New York City settled into a calm after the storm, the legacy of Peterson and Elizabeth continued to ripple outward. The restored temples of ancient Egypt, once silent witnesses to a lost era, now thrummed with life and meaning, serving as sanctuaries where modern technology and sacred tradition converged. Their philanthropic initiatives spread hope to distant corners of the globe, lighting the way for those who dared to dream of a better world. For Peterson, every sunrise became a reaffirmation of his purpose, a daily reminder that the wealth he had amassed was not merely a measure of success, but a tool to heal, empower, and inspire. And for Elizabeth, the rediscovery of human emotion, with all its fragility and strength, enriched her divine spirit in ways she had never imagined. Together, they forged a legacy that defied the boundaries of time, a tale of divine ascension and the infinite potential that lies at the intersection of destiny, love, and unwavering commitment to truth. In the end, their story was one of transformation, of a world reborn to the melding of ancient majesty and modern ambition, a story that, like the eternal cycle of day and night, promised that every end was but the beginning of a new and wondrous journey.